this week, two IRS whistleblowers testified to Congress about the Hunter Biden scandal. Tonight, we talk with IRS Special Agent Joseph Ziegler, who until Wednesday had been known only as Mr. X. But Joseph Ziegler, welcome to Special Report.
Thank you so much for having me.
I want to start by playing something that you said at the hearing as you testified and revealed yourself on Wednesday.
I was raised and have always strived to do what is right. Although I do have my supporters, others have said that I am a traitor to the Democratic Party and that I am causing more division in our society. I implore you to consider that if you were in my position with the facts as I have stated them, ask yourself if you would be doing the exact same thing.
When did you have that moment? Was there an event? Was there a moment or an occurrence where you said, I have to say something about what I'm seeing?
Yeah, so the ultimate reason why I came public was there were a lot of things that I saw that were improper, not following proper procedures, and I thought it was my duty to come forward. And I thought when we were invited to come and testify in front of the congressional committee, I didn't want to leave my supervisor Gary there alone, and I thought it was important that for my credibility that people hear it straight from me.
What was the calculation like for you? Because your loved ones, your family, people are drawn into this. I mean, you are risking professional retaliation, great career risk for you. Yeah,
so it took, I had to have that conversation with my husband. I had to have it with friends of mine. Back this past December, our personal information got leaked on Twitter. Information related to my husband. It was pretty awful to go through that at that time, and having navigated that, we knew kind of what we were up against. And at the end of the day, like, the reason I came forward and the reason why we're getting this information out there is that we have to treat taxpayers the same. It's all about following the evidence and making sure that justice is served.
And I know that you have testified, as has Mr. Shapley, about a number of times you felt like that wasn't happening. First of all, tell us, who was Leslie Wolf? What role did she have in overseeing what you could pursue, what you couldn't pursue, and where did you feel like maybe you guys were not on the same page?
So Leslie Wolf was one of the four assigned. So she was an assistant U.S. attorney for the District of Delaware. She was one of the attorneys assigned to the investigation. And the second part of your question, when was the first time that we weren't really, our first really big disagreement would have been related to the storage unit, the search warrant related to the storage unit. When I found out that she told defense counsel that we knew about the storage unit and that the records request included that, I just knew that we weren't, it was kind of like a shot to the gut, and that we didn't have a seat at the table. And that really was a defining moment for me that said that things aren't following the proper procedure that we would normally follow.
Yeah, and what you're referring to there is a storage unit by Hunter Biden. You guys wanted a warrant to go look at that. You wanted to be able to pursue that WhatsApp message in which Hunter Biden allegedly is saying, I've got my dad sitting here. You've made a commitment to us, pressuring a Chinese businessman allegedly to pay them some money. You wanted to be able to question Hunter Biden's adult children and other people you thought might be relevant to the case. But you've testified, as has Mr. Shapley, that you were told no. There were certain things you could not pursue.
Yeah, when you work in an investigation, you have to follow the evidence. It's a matter of, if there's evidence laid out before you and there's potential tax crimes that exist, you should be able to follow the evidence. We should be able to interview witnesses. We should be able to do all the proper procedures. I understand that this was a politically sensitive case, but at the end of the day, it was a matter of, no, you can't do that. Let's think about it. And at the end of the day, we weren't following all the evidence that we should have.
So prosecutors, obviously, and attorneys assigned to this case are going to make decisions about what they think is relevant evidence, whether it's worthwhile. Several of the Democrats on the committee said these are just the kind of dust-ups that investigators and prosecutors have. You're not always going to be on the same page. Is that accurate?
So when it always works out in the favor of the target, in this case, Hunter Biden, it just compiles on top of each other time after time. And to that note, I just want to say that in August of 2022, all 4 assigned prosecutors agreed to recommend prosecution of felony and misdemeanor charges. And I know one of the things that's being brought up, and I've seen this being brought up, is that a lot of times cases like these, they'll refer to civil. It'll go and civil will deal with this. Let me be clear on that. Criminal investigations, when you work a criminal case, there's a thing called willfulness, whether someone intentionally, with knowledge, either evaded their income taxes or filed a false return. And that's one thing that sets us apart from a civil case. And in this case, we provided a ton of evidence that showed willfulness.
You've talked about that August phone call or a meeting where everyone on the team, or a lot of people on the team, prosecutors and investigators alike, you thought you were on the same page about some of these charging things that were going to move forward. At what point did you realize you weren't actively on this investigation anymore, or there was a plea deal coming together, or something that didn't line up with what you thought had been agreed to?
Yeah, so I guess that would go back to the phone conversations that I had in December of 2022. When the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office, the President Biden-appointed D.C. U.S. Attorney, said no to the 2014 and 2015 tax year charges. So when you hear that come out, it was frustrating. We reinvestigated those tax years. We figured it out. It was kind of comical in the team. So with the FBI investigators we were working with and us within the IRS, we were trying to figure out, how do we get an independent attorney with authority assigned to this investigation? And it was like no one knew what to do to bring that issue up, and that's frustrating at the end of the day. And like we said in our testimony, that was probably one of the first times where we knew there was some sort of influence that was coming into the investigation.
The Attorney General and U.S. Attorney David Weiss have both said he's always had the authority he needed to charge whatever he thought was necessary, wherever he thought he needed to pursue it. What was your understanding of the authority that Mr. Weiss communicated to your team that he did or did not have?
So I guess I would go back to his most recent letter. So he stated in that letter that his authority is restricted to the district that he is in. So his district is the District of Delaware, and if he needs to go outside that district, he needs to ask those President Biden-appointed U.S. attorneys to partner with him. And if they say no, then he can go back and ask for this special attorney authority, and he was assured he would be given this. All I saw in that letter was a verbal assurance. Where's the actual memo or notice that says, here is your special attorney authority, you should have no issues bringing charges where you see them? So
you were told, your understanding is he did try to bring charges in places like D.C. and was told no by the U.S. attorney that would be in charge of that district.
So all I know is in the District of D.C., the U.S. attorney, so the way that I recall, and this is from conversations that I would have had with the assigned attorneys, is it went to the line attorneys that were in the D.C. U.S. Attorney's Office. So that would have been the career employees. They got it. They said, here's how we're going to help you out. Here's what we're going to do to bring this case here in the District of D.C. Then I get a phone call a couple days later that says, hey, they're not going to bring it. They don't want to partner with us. They're not going to help us. And they also say that, no, you shouldn't bring this case in our district.
Okay. Let me ask you, too, this new document that's been released, not new, it's newly released, this FD 1023 that Senator Grassley has put out that has various allegations involving the Bidens, and they're unverified. This is one source who said it, involving payments to a Burisma official, payments from that official to them from Ukraine. Did that document ever become part of your investigation? Did that come across your desk?
So I provided an additional document to the House Ways and Means Committee, which they released, that testimony that I had in there said that I had never seen that document before. So I had never seen that 1023. And the reason why that 1023 might have been important is that can further validate some other evidence that we are trying to prove in the case. And that's why all information is necessary for especially the lead IRS case agent to have.
So from this point, a couple of questions. In the wake of your testimony, are you surprised there wasn't more in-depth media coverage of what you testified to on Wednesday? And what's been the reaction like for folks now that you've gone public? As you said at the hearing, in contrast to what a lot of people that you align with politically don't want you to be doing.
At the end of the day, I think it's my duty, my sworn duty as a federal law enforcement officer, that I come forward and I tell the truth. I come forward, I've presented evidence, there's a process that we're given in becoming a whistleblower. I think that's the most important thing. And look at everything we presented to Congress, to the House Ways and Means Committee, none of it's been refuted. None of what we have presented has been refuted so far that I've seen.
Okay, and one quick last question. You referenced the David Weiss letter. I believe that was July 10th of this year. He said in that he couldn't speak to the 1023 form because there was an ongoing investigation. Do you know if there's still an investigation going on involving Hunter Biden?
So I was removed from that team May 15th, 2023. I have no idea what's going on as far as that investigation goes. I have stated multiple times that I don't want to see other agents, FBI, IRS, go through the same thing we went through. If there is other charges that are venued outside the District of Delaware, David Weiss is going to run into the same problem again and again. And that's why we need to have an independent attorney assigned who has authority, who can go in there, bring the proper charges so that there can be some faith restored in our justice system.
Well, we know that the integrity of federal agencies among a lot of Americans has been flagging in recent years. So thank you very much, Joseph Ziegler, for stopping in with us to talk about your claims.